Meet sailing yacht Avanti and her crew, Gerard and Jacqueline. We left Cape Town in December 2021 on our floating home, heading west on an adventure of a lifetime around the world.
As the sun rises in Fakarava, we sail back to the village before we leave the atoll later in the day. This week's episode takes us to Tahiti, our first visit to a larger city in more than 3 months. We've been lucky with no major breakages since we left Panama, but we still have a few jobs to complete.
We have left Fakarava. Sadly, our time here has come to an end. The original plan was to leave here a week ago, but we got a bit stuck. We just enjoyed it so much. The diving and the kiting was just absolutely superb, and the plan was to go to another 2 atolls before heading to the Society Islands, starting with Tahiti. But unfortunately, we've got some strange weather coming. There's about 2.5 days of wind, which we're leaving on, and then there's going to be about 3 days of no wind, and then some crazy winds and 4-meter swells. So we don't want to get stuck with that weather window, and that's going to stay around these islands for at least a week is what we can see at the moment. And we don't want to get stuck on a smaller atoll that we don't know the anchorages with that type of weather. So sadly, really sadly, we are heading straight for Tahiti, and then on to the Society Islands, which are going to be beautiful, but it is quite heartbreaking for me to think we're going to miss some of these remote places, because that's why we started this journey, to see places that you can't fly to. But on to some fun in the Society Islands. The prediction looks like we're going to have an okay sail.
We've got about 250 nautical miles roughly to Tahiti, and it looks like we should have constant wind. This morning the wind was pretty heavy and we had a lot of squalls, but that seems to be away. So 2 days of sailing, hopefully get there before sunset on the second day, and yeah, 15 knots of wind. The second day looks a little bit light, but we should be broad reaching there. There is a bit of swell, 2.5 to 3 meters, but yeah, we can't really wait longer because that big swell is coming in. We just caught a little yellowfin tuna, a little bit too small to eat, so if he was badly injured we would have probably kept him, but he was in good shape, so we just took out the hook and we let him go, and he swam away.
We can almost see Tahiti. What is the first thing you want to do when we are back in civilization?
After we drop the anchor and I do the dishes, which is a daily chore for me, I am going to buy a Coca-Cola because I've run out of stock, an ice cold one, and I'm craving a burger and chips. We haven't been in a restaurant for, I don't know, a proper restaurant since Panama, so burger and chips for me.
I'm gonna go straight to the supermarket and I want to buy a tomato, and I'm gonna eat it probably just outside the door. That's how much I want a tomato, and probably an apple. We haven't had fresh produce since we left. Well, a lot of fresh produce options. We've had some carrots in Nuku'iva, but cabbage we had in Nuku'iva, and 1 eggplant, but that's been it since the beginning of March, and it's now middle May. At this time, I had started to feel run down and low on energy. We've been taking vitamins and eating canned veggies as much as we can, and we ate a lot of fruit in the Marquesas. But with only eating meat once a week and a few fresh veggies, our bodies needed something more than the bean, lentil, chickpea and starch diet it had been on for the last couple of weeks.
Tahiti has always been a place for sailors to find refuge from the expansive Pacific Ocean, dating all the way back to the first explorers such as Captain Cook. It has large supermarkets, superb marinas, and a lot of chandleries, more than we expected.
In the past, the Society Islands, which Tahiti forms part of, had lots of anchoring options, but they're trying to move away from anchorages, and the islands are putting in moorings across the islands, which comes at a cost that most sailors don't want to pay.
We had quite a busy day today. We had to run around because we have so little time in Tahiti. So we got some fresh produce from the grocery shop. We got some fresh tomatoes that was eaten, or some of them eaten, in the parking lot already. I also had one. Jacqueline definitely had one, and it was really good tomatoes, so we are really chuffed. The other fresh produce was also good. There's a good selection in the stores in Tahiti. We also got some fresh water, filled up our drinking water tank and topped up our freshwater tanks with the water from the Tahiti Marina. You pay a small fee, I think 1,000 francs, so $10, and then you can take as much water as you want. So all the tanks are basically topped up. We did the laundry as well. There's a laundromat at the marina that you can also use, just based on a coin system. So our overdue laundry is also done, and we have some fresh clothes, and we also got some diesel. Topped up the diesel jerry cans and some gasoline for the dinghy. So not that much, but when you're a cruiser, these things take long to do, so quite a busy day.
On Tahiti, we've only have 48 hours to get everything we need to head to Moria before the big swell comes in, and unfortunately it's a public holiday, so everything's closed, but at least we can have a look at what the town looks like, or would have looked like on an open day.
We still needed to get some boat spares in Tahiti today, since we're leaving tomorrow for Moria, and all the shops are mainly closed, so we managed to get a few marine shops that's open, but it's in the industrial area in Papeete, so we actually had to hitchhike to get a lift. It's about 6 kilometers from where we are anchored or moored, and yeah, some friendly people picked us up quite easy, didn't have to wait too long. And they dropped us very close to the shops. We've been walking to the shops and got 90% of the stuff we needed. So we're on our way back now. Hopefully we get another lift. Luckily we got a lift back quite easily back to the marina. Basically the first car that we asked for a ride and that had space stopped, and they picked us up. And it's interesting that both of the lifts we got into Papeete and out, the guys actually dropped us exactly where we wanted to be, driving basically away from their end destination. So the people are so friendly, and it was so easy. And again, it was like a 6-kilometer hike, so we're very happy that we got lifts. But just before we got the lift out of Papeete, we spot a restaurant that had a brewery as well, one of the few that was open on the public holiday, and we decided to go for a burger and chips. I think it was my first one since we left Panama, so yeah, basically 2.5 months. So I was really looking forward to that. And an added bonus was that they had a brewery on site and they made their own beers. The restaurant and brewery is called the Three Brewers, and I tasted 2 beers there. Both of them 500ml drafts that's brewed on site. And the first one was a blonde, like a normal lager. It had 5.2% alcohol, very clear and crisp, and it was really refreshing, especially with the burger, so I really liked it. And I think it was about 1,000 francs, so very expensive in the restaurant. So that's about $10 US for a 500ml draft, so extremely expensive. But even with the expensive price, it was a really good lager, and I think for the lager I would rate the lager at 8 out of 10. I also had an amber ale just to finish off the lunch. That was 1,100 francs, so $11 US. So again, price very high, but the taste was extremely good, nice, and a little bit of a fruity and a smoky taste, and very hoppy. I like the hop taste, so that one I would rate for an amber ale a 7.5 out of 10. So all in all, a very good day. We got our spare parts, we got lifts in and back, and we got to taste beers and have a burger and chips. It's time to do another engine oil change on Avanti's Volvo Penta. We've done approximately 430 hours up to date, and although it's recommended to change it a little bit less, I like to change it rather more. So last time we've changed it was on 280 hours. So yeah, we've got about or less than 200 hours. So I just ran the engine to heat up the oil a little bit, and I've got an electric pump that I just hook up to the batteries that extracts the oil, because there's quite a lot. There's about 10 liters in the engine. So I'll switch this on now. It takes quite a while to extract it because it pumps really slowly and it needs the oil to be a little bit warm. That's why I ran the engine. And after that, it's just taking off the oil filter and putting in the new oil. We got an oil filter in Tahiti, and although I had another spare, I didn't really plan to do an oil change here because we motored quite a lot in the Pacific crossing. But I was really impressed with the stores in Tahiti. There's a lot of genuine part spares available from Volvo Penta and from Raymarine, much more so than in Panama. Although the prices are quite high, or a little bit higher than the Panama prices that we saw, there's really a good like stock holding. Obviously they're in the middle of nowhere, but really impressed with the amount of spares available in Tahiti. So if you need any spares, yeah, you'll definitely find something in Tahiti. Our freshwater pump started making some weird noises the other day. So if you start the pump, it sounds okay, but then it starts sounding weird. So today is the day that I need to take it out and just see what's cooking with it. I've taken the little Jabsco pump out, and I'm just going to open it. It's a diaphragm pump. See if there isn't any stuff on the inside that's blocking it. Looks pretty clean, but I'll open it a little bit further. Yeah, it looks pretty clean, so I'm not sure. I've opened it the previous time and it was full of like calcium buildup, but it still looks pretty clean at the moment. I've taken out the pump and I tested it without it being connected to the pipes, and it works fine. So I've also I just blew through the suction line back into the tanks, and there's no blockage. And there's definitely no blockage on the discharge line that goes to the taps. So I've put the pump back in, and it still doesn't sound fantastic under load. So I think the pump motor might be just busy failing, but we'll use it for a little while longer. We don't use it much. We mostly use water maker water, and it's not connected to the drinking water. We use a foot pump for that. So we'll give it another go and see how long it goes. We do have a spare on board that we bought in Cape Town. Then I could just swap it out once this one goes. Nothing much more that I can do.
Next week, we enjoy the spoils of Mo'orea, an island that I've been dreaming of since childhood. We hike the mountain, swim its lagoon, and make the most of our limited time that we have left in French Polynesia. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a big thumbs up, leave a comment, or subscribe to be the first to know about next week's video.